Conscious living, conscious dying. Given all that I have explained about life and death, I now wish to shift focus to put your attention on how you can live in ways that prepare you consciously for death. It is not my desire that you begin to think about death and its inevitability on a regular basis or in any way obsess over it. By living your life now in open, full ways, you can create the sense of meaning that all humans crave, thereby learning more about becoming the source of love. The point of all this is to nudge you toward living now, in other words. It is a certainty that death will come to you, but there may be variables that will determine what you let this mean and how you allow the fact of death to shape how you live your life. It is my intention, as part of all that is outside the game space of life, to provide you with information and tools to help you navigate your choices yourself. All that I will offer in this section of the text is offered in the spirit that you might be able to see how to piece together a new sense of who you really are, what you came here to do, and how to make it happen, even though the reality is that you will not live as this particular human self forever. It is up to you if you want to make the reality of your eventual death rob you of the impetus to do creative meaning with and out of your life. You are free to do whatever you please, and this element of free will is an important ingredient in the all that is playbook unfolding as you live your human lives all across the timeline. It is up to you to decide if you will embrace the time that you have and choose to deal in self-aware, conscious ways with what comes to you and what comes up within you along the way. As an energetic being experiencing life emotionally and a powerful creator manifesting in the world around you events and dynamics to reveal to you your hidden beliefs, it is, as it happens, inevitable that you will at times in life create and co-create scenarios that confuse and hurt you. Preparing for death by living a meaningful life now. When you read the phrase preparing for death, you might think of the days or moments leading up to the end of a particular life. When it comes, you finally must face the reality of what will happen to you, that you will die, and you must somehow steel yourself to deal with the enormity of the feelings and the implications of what it means. Usually that you didn't during life do something you meant, wanted, or needed to do. There is no escape. This is it. You must, in this pressure-filled time, decide how you will feel about what is happening, and certain parts of you will find themselves in the position of needing to snap to attention and figure out if anything can be done to make things better or stretch them out longer. Instead of your idea of that time and all that might go with it, I mean to put your attention on how you are living now as a preparation for death. If you choose to view death and the unknown with fear, then you will find this notion uncomfortable. If, on the other hand, you are willing to adapt to a view of life and death as related to chapters of soul's experience living human life through the lens of your personality and conditioning, then you put yourself in a position to view both the process of life and the inevitability of death in a new light. I invite you to live your life to the fullest in all that this means to you as a preparation for your eventual death. You are headed for death, but I want you to live into a sense of being alive, factoring in that all of your time during this life can be used in intentional ways. Your life is a chapter in the multi-life journey of your soul, and your death is, frankly, merely a punctuation point. It is, in fact, one of many punctuation points along the way, and it need not be the awful, frightening, and traumatic experience that it seems to promise to be for those who are not ever really accepting that it is inevitable and will, at some point, come to them. What does it mean to live life to the fullest? I have 2 answers for you. The first is to allow the process of creating meaning as described in the section above to unfold. This is to say, to allow yourself to be yourself, express what is in you to express, and uncover the gift that your existence is here to give. There is no punishment for not doing this, but it is in the heart of all that is, that you, as a portion of it, figure out how to become the source of love. Along the way, this means feeding the loving part of yourself with experiences that you need to open up to love. This means that you are challenged over time to honor who you are and bring out your unique self in order to give the gift of yourself in whatever form it naturally seeks to exist. When you honor who you are, then you open to love, to being love. The gift you, as portion of divine consciousness, came here to embody, naturally finds its way to expression. So many of you live in fear of what might happen to you, that you might not feel free to be open to what life has to offer you. That is wonderful, and what you have to offer life that is equally as wonderful. The first sections of this text are intended to give you some context about the life process and how all that you experience is in fact your creation and co-creation, so that you can see more about how to work with the elements and dynamics of your life in an empowered way. If you do not see how to be empowered with what exists in your sphere, you will certainly not feel open to being empowered to do what you came here to do. It simply is not possible to live your soul's loving mission from a place of fear and with dread about what might happen to you next because of what has happened to you in the past. The second answer is that you must go through a process to rewrite why the most important things that have occurred to you and around you that have deeply affected you have happened. You must revise the history, the narrative you and your clever, protection-focused mind have attached to the facts of what has happened to create a sense of meaning about it, and how you feel as a result of what happened to reflect the logic of soul. Remember that this way of looking at your life centers on the fact that you have vibrated your life experiences into existence in order to show you more about who you are, and where you are in the process of learning what love is, where it comes from, and who is responsible for giving it to whom. The logic of soul opens the door for you to own what you have experienced as useful for your divine journey to learn through human living what it means to become a being who chooses to generate love as a regular mode. To die consciously, you must own your life experiences as your creation. And this means all of your life experiences. You must revisit major junction points in your emotional history as the human you are and own what has happened. And you must do so not in terms of the judgment that is so easy for you to mete out upon yourself for having done something wrong if you or another has been injured through choices you made at that time. You must give yourself and all others involved in those narratives the benefit of the doubt that each of you is a long-term, multi-life work in progress. I invite you to see all of this history as contributing to the evolution of consciousness as all that is explores human living, and I invite you to do so without judgment of yourself and other. If you blame yourself for something in your past that has hurt you, then you are not open to love. Similarly, if you blame someone in your past for something that has hurt you, you cannot be open to love. Simple, straightforward forgiveness does do great things when applied well. But I want you not to merely let go of what has hurt you. I want you to understand it as your co-creation and to get to the point at which you can graciously accept that all that has hurt you in fact occurred for a reason, and that the reason was not to punish or harm you. I want you to get to the point with this material I am sharing here that you are able to stand up in the middle of all the pain you have experienced at your own hand and the hands of others and own all of it. When you can do this, you begin to step into a piece of your divine power that has been lacking in the lives of humans for as long as humans have existed. You have been trying to figure out why pain happens and hurt unfolds. Now I am coming through to share with you that all of it has been your co-creation, and this, in fact, is something to celebrate. You, as divine source, are doing what you came here to do. In one sense, dying is an opportunity to return to the place from which love comes. While embodied, you are challenged over many lives to learn to be the source of love for yourself. But your nature, as all that is to be the source of love. In fact, all that is commonly referred to as source. When a human dies, the context of normal human perception and the limits on the size and scope of consciousness is invited to give way to reconnect with love. This happens through the predeceased loved ones and guidance team who hold space for the newly separated consciousness to adapt to being surrounded by loving support at all times. It is true that the task for the newly departed consciousness is to open to love, and it certainly can be a difficult one, as all manner of human perceptions, judgments, criticisms, and blame must be met and evaluated before being shed in favor of adapting to the logic of soul that is taught to the newly departed during the orientation process. Going through your history and rewriting the narrative of what has occurred will lead you to be able to fully occupy the present moment. It will set up your view on what is happening now as an extension of all those things that have been happening your entire life to teach you about how to become a loving being, how to become the source of love. If after working to rewrite your existing narratives about the past and what all of it meant, you are still unclear about what your life is the way it is now, then you will need to apply the same process to what exists in your sphere now. Ultimately, I'm suggesting that living consciously in a way that prepares you consciously for death means to live in the present moment and engage with all that exists in your life in a meaningful way. But it took this entire book to get here, because I had to show you a number of important things about how your consciousness, ideas, and beliefs about life become shaped through experience. I had to take you on a tour of how all that is sets human existence into motion and then steps into it with the intention of forgetting its true nature as the source of love in order to attempt to remember it while in a human form and come to embody its power as the source of love. You had to see what gets in the way of living a meaningful life and receive numerous invitations to let go of the need or habit to judge yourself for your choices and for what you have experienced over your years lived on earth. But if you live in the present moment and appreciate all that comes to you as reflecting your multi-life empowerment journey as all that is, playing at being human in order that you learn how to become the source of love while in human form, then you're getting it. In this case, you would be living consciously in a way that paves the way for dying consciously and returning to the source of love as it is held and nurtured by all that is when you are between lives. I invite you to understand that as you are a complex and multi-layered energetic being experiencing life emotionally I want you to be easy on yourself when you think you have rewritten your history and then something later comes up with a tinge of bitterness, pain, guilt, shame, or regret. I want to be clear that energy moves through your consciousness and therefore your body in waves, and that these waves ebb and flow. Energies in the form of emotions come to the surface when something in your thoughts, feelings, or environment echoes something from the past that imprinted you negatively and inspired part of you to create a narrative in order to ensure that you can avoid recreating pain in the future. Something in your environment at some point might trigger you, in other words. And you may feel you have done wonderful work going through this text and altering your perspective in the ways that I have described. When this happens, it is not that you have not done wonderful work to evolve and grow. It is because energies and emotions move through all different layers of your consciousness and therefore body. And it is normal and natural to be triggered by something even after effective healing work has been done. The effect will be less than it was in the past before you put conscious awareness on something to transform your relationship with it. Once you own your experiences when an emotion is triggered, you will find that the impact is more like an echo than opening an old wound. You will be able to stay grounded and in your body, intentional and clear in the moment, and more quickly and effectively move through it to come back to centered and present. And you will be ready to view this echoing resonance through the lens of love, which is to say compassion and self-acceptance. You will be more understanding of yourself as a divine work in progress. You will love having the opportunity to withhold self-judgment and shrug off guilt, shame, and regret. Below are some questions to work with as you go through the process of becoming present, of becoming aware, of being the source of love in your world, with some guidelines and tips to navigating what can come up for many humans when working with the information contained in this volume. Approached intentionally, they can serve as exercises to work through some issues that arise for humans when considering all that has been written in this book thus far. What will you let pain mean to you? How will you conceive of what life is supposed to be like? Emotional and other kinds of pain are available in spades to people who are in a process of learning to deal with it. All humans experience such difficulty at times. It is up to you how you view the situations in your life that bring pain as they unfold. You will be put in different situations and sometimes feel firmly lodged between rocks and hard places. Dilemmas will come to you, and impossible choices will too. It is in your power to choose how you will conceive of why these things happen, and your decision will, in large part, determine your experience of such situations when they come to and rise up within you. You are not a sheep who has incarnated to live a life on earth being led around with an ideal experience of idyllic placidness, being told what to do and doing it and having everything unfold peacefully, surrounded by gleeful, chirping birds and sunbeams and rainbows. You are a portion of the Creator consciousness, all that is, the being that makes things happen. Your life is a reflection of what your soul needs to create, watch, feel, resist, and roll with in order to learn about what it takes to live human life and navigate the world of emotions and everything else. You are not here to seek a peaceful path upon which you need to learn nothing. Far from it. You are here to sample all the possible drama and intensity available to humans along a multi-life journey so they can learn to become the source of love. You are here to feel all manner of joy and pain and walk through it with conscious awareness and, in time, own all of it as your creation. As I mentioned above, This includes learning that others will not and cannot love you in the ways that you need to be loved. You, in fact, draw others to you who cannot meet your needs for feeling loved, supported, and safe, because you, as a piece of Goddess and God, are here to learn to do those things for yourself as you learn to remember how to become the source of love while in human form. Will you open to see multiple perspectives as to why things happen to and within you? You are in complete control as to how you view and interpret what happens around and within you. Many of you are not sure you have any bit of control over your lives, but I wish for you to see that you become empowered as all that is living human lives when you open to see the lens through which you view the world as a creative product of you, all that is. What comes to you will reflect the logic of soul, what kinds of experiences you have as a person, and your response to them determines your experience. When something difficult comes to or rises up within you, are you willing to learn to see the value in it? Are you willing to breathe intentionally into that pain or tension and know that you are safe and that this is coming to or up within you for a good reason? Dying consciously is an outgrowth of living consciously, and that takes seeing all that comes to you as reflected of what you as soul, you as all that is, have incarnated as you to learn. Living consciously takes recognizing your divine power as a creative being, making all the things that come to you happen. Are you willing to grow older consciously? Are you willing to age with conscious intent? You are aging, and until you die, you will continue to age. Yet you have the choice in how you approach these facts. Your human culture has certain opinions about age and those who are aging that are in fact reflective of your collective conceptions of and experiences with death and dying. You value youth because you are afraid of dying, of stepping into the great unknown, with the main variable being that you are not sure you will be welcomed with loving, open arms by anyone when and after you die. You are afraid that you have not lived well or been a good enough person, and that someone is waiting to punish you after death. This is where the emphasis on youth and beauty and looking and seeming young comes from. Sometimes an older person, in full acceptance of many truths described in this book, will come along and have a calm, grounded statement to make about life and death. You allow yourselves to be temporarily inspired and then go back to dreading the thought of aging and eventually dying because you have not yet learned or perhaps accepted that each individual can make of life what he or she will. You are not in control of all the details of your life, and you cannot avoid the death of your body, but you are in complete control as to how you approach and work with the circumstances of your life, including the aging. Are you willing to define who you are and shed the power of the collective fear about aging and what it means? Are you willing to be present with your experience of aging and own it? It is up to you to shed the stranglehold cultural ideals about aging and dying may have on you. Are you willing to learn to forgive yourself for all that has seemed a mistake or failure? How you choose to view why and how events have occurred are, as mentioned above, keys to your creative power as a portion of all that is living a human life. Do what you can to accept that all humans experience what amounts to not measuring up to an external standard at least sometimes in their lives. If you put all of your ability to accept and feel good about yourself in the direction of measuring up to external standards, you will not see that you are in fact powerful as a loving being. You may not feel clear to get to your heart to begin simply accepting who you are and enjoying this moment of your life. You will not be able to forgive others for anything if you cannot forgive yourself. And if you cannot forgive others, you cannot effectively own your own history and step into the power as a divine being playing at being human. It all begins with giving yourself the benefit of the doubt that you are a divine work in progress, doing all you can to learn to become the source of love. If you are not being so for yourself, how could you possibly expect to be such a source for anyone else? I mean to say that if you cannot treat yourself with kindness, what do you think you are in fact vibrating toward and with others when you are trying to be loving? I encourage you in the strongest possible terms to choose to become the source of love for yourself so that you can give the gift of you to the world around you. It all begins with how you choose to view yourself, your choices, and your worth. Are you willing to make peace with the present and accept what is? Are you willing to make peace with the past and accept what has been? To own what all that is has created through you, a portion of it having forgotten the big picture and your power, is to move toward owning your power. You have been creating all along. You have always been powerful. You have been making all of this happen, and there is a wonderful reason for it. You are, after all, learning with the help of many other portions of all that is to become loving. Finally, are you willing to adapt to the presence of the logic of soul in your human life? This is to ask if you are prepared to gracefully accept what comes to you and, from a grounded place, work consciously with all the variables at play in your heart-mind life to find a solution. Here's a little hint. All problems that come to you point at the need for you to become the source of love. Along the way, you go through much that is to be filed under what love is, where it comes from, and who's responsible for giving it to whom. In one way or the other, all of it reveals that others cannot love you in the ways that you need. Thus far, you have not seen that the solution to working through the manifestations of the logic of soul in your life, what comes to and up within you that's difficult and or painful, can be brought to resolution if you step more into the direction of becoming the source of love. Up to this point, you have perhaps not realized that you are a portion of the divine creative intelligence that has brought all things into existence and is making all of this happen. Well, now you know. Now you have the whole story about why the world around you unfolds as it does. I leave it to you to explore accepting your divine role in all that has happened and is happening to you now, and step into your power as the source of love. Thank you for your time, attention, and energy. It has been a pleasure sharing this information with you.